Welcome to the deep dive. Thinking about long-term relationships, they have their ups and downs, right? Sometimes it can feel uh, pretty challenging to navigate.
It definitely can. And what if ancient wisdom could actually offer some tools for that?
That's exactly what we're getting into today. We're looking at how Stoic philosophy, specifically ideas from Seneca, might apply to modern marriage.
Yeah, we're pulling from this really interesting source, a book called Stoicism for a Resilient Marriage. It tries to translate those old ideas into practical stuff for partnerships now.
So our goal here is to kind of pull out the useful bits. How can this ancient thinking actually help build a stronger, more resilient connection? And the book stresses, it's not about being cold or emotionless.
Not at all. It's more about cultivating an inner strength, a kind of virtue that actually deepens the bond you have, building resilience together.
Okay, let's unpack that. So one of the first big ideas from the source is this concept of inner calm and resilience. But it's not about just bottling things up.
Right. Absolutely not suppressing. It's about developing a sort of stable inner core. And central to that, according to the book, is amor fati.
Amor fati, love of fate. How does that translate to, like, everyday marriage stuff?
Well, it means embracing the whole shared journey. The
Mhm.
good times, the tough times, the completely unexpected things that life throws at you. Accepting it.
Okay, so accepting the journey, does that mean recognizing what you just fundamentally can't control in the relationship?
Precisely. The source points out things like your partner's past experiences, some of their core personality traits, maybe how outside events affect them, even just their mood on a particular day. Those aren't yours to manage.
Trying to force those things just leads to frustration, I imagine.
Exactly. Huge frustration. So the practical step the book suggests is shifting your energy. Stop trying to control the uncontrollable.
And focus instead on,
When what is in your power, your own reactions, your attitude, the effort you bring, your commitment. The source argues that this shift seriously cuts down on anxiety.
all right, it gives you a sense of agency back. You're not just reacting to everything.
You're choosing how you engage. It lets you be constructive instead of just being, thrown around by things.
That feels much more empowering. Less about fixing them, more about managing yourself, which seems to link to the next idea from the source. Building an inner citadel of calm.
Yes, exactly. Think of it like building emotional muscle. Disagreements will happen, external stress will hit. This citadel is your capacity to handle that without getting totally overwhelmed.
So if, say, your partner snaps or you lose a job, the citadel isn't about pretending it doesn't hurt, but
It's the mental space you create to pause, to reflect for a second before you react. The Stoic approach, as the book frames it for marriage, is about choosing a rational response instead of just, lashing out in anger or fear.
that pause sounds crucial. It stops things escalating, maybe.
Yeah, it stops that immediate reactivity that can do so much damage. It opens up the possibility for actual constructive dialogue instead.
Okay, makes sense. Now, the book also talks about the four cardinal virtues being foundational.
Absolutely. It draws on Seneca again, framing wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance as active skills for the relationship, not just abstract ideas.
So wisdom in marriage.
Mm.
What does that look like practically?
It's about discernment, really. Figuring out what truly helps the relationship thrive. It's about genuinely trying to understand your partner's viewpoint and making sound decisions together.
And courage. That sounds intense.
Well, it can be. It's the courage to have those difficult conversations you might be avoiding, or to face uncomfortable truths, to apologize properly when you mess up. And sometimes it's just the courage to endure tough times side by side.
Okay. Justice seems fairly clear. Fairness, honesty.
Yeah.
Is there a specific Stoic angle the book highlights?
It emphasizes consistency, honesty, yes, but also integrity in your actions, following through on commitments, big or small. And fundamentally, it's about recognizing your partner's inherent worth and dignity, treating them as a true equal.
Got it. And the last one, temperance.
That's basically self-control. Managing your impulses, your anger, your desires, so they don't lead you to act in ways that harm the relationship or your partner. The idea is that consciously working on these virtues really strengthens the partnership.
And finally, the source brings up practicing gratitude for the given.
Yeah, Stoicism generally encourages appreciating what you actually have. So in marriage, this means actively, intentionally focusing on your partner's good qualities, their efforts, just their presence, even the small everyday
It's
things.
not pretending problems don't exist, though.
No, not at all. It's more about deliberately training your focus. Counterbalancing the natural tendency to fixate on flaws, maybe. By valuing the good that is there, you foster contentment and deepen that connection.
So pulling it all together from this source, these Stoic ideas, accepting fate, building that inner calm, living these virtues, practicing gratitude, they aren't just philosophical concepts. They're presented as real tools.
Very practical tools for building a marriage that can, withstand challenges, a resilient marriage.
It really offers a different lens, doesn't it?
It does, and maybe that leaves you with something to think about. How might consciously deciding to focus only on what you can control, your own attitude, your actions, your response, how might that change the way you approach the very next challenge or disagreement in your own relationship, starting right now?
Yeah, what could that shift actually unlock?
Yeah.
Something powerful to consider.